position for close to 2 decades now. Would you want to paint a picture for us so that we get a better understanding of where we are at right now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I worked in this space a long time. I started off, in the very early days with companies like, Formnet and Africa Online, connecting the first internet users like almost 25 years ago, if you can believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And of course,
I can't, but it's okay.
Yeah. I always like to say people like us.
34, 35.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice compliment.
Yeah.
And he's like 2000. I'm like, huh?
To what? 15 years ago? 25,
You know why that is?
20,
You know why that is? Because I support Arsenal.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I support Arsenal.
This message has been
Money
probably
has
brought
been
to you
poured.
by... But you're talking.
Yeah. So you can imagine, 25 years, give or take, connecting people on modems, with the, telecoms lines at Kenya Post and Telecoms.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to imagine those days it was sort of almost an elite service. Very few people could afford it and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you had sort of key moments in time. And I think mobile was the first one. So mobile devices proliferated. And then we had the very first early moments of the internet. We had what they call the GPRS internet, which was very slow. Then we got the 3Gs and so forth. And I think another key moment there was the smartphones. Because you got to remember, in Africa and Kenya, the majority of people could not afford, a laptop or a computer.
Mm-hmm.
So smartphones became and continue to be the most prolific device in accessing and using the internet across the continent.
Mm-hmm.
And more so in Kenya, you find that when you look at the continent, you'll see that sort of Kenya, Nigeria and South Africa, sort of the epicenters, with Egypt in terms of internet penetration, internet behavior, and also, of course, investments and stuff in areas like fintech and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then another key moment was when obviously we got the fiber cuts. And as you know, this weekend we've all suffered.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
The landing of the fiber was like literally to such a milestone, because now we had this sort of high quality, world-class internet access. In fact, I remember sometimes in the trips I used to have in the early years, I'd go to South Africa for a lot of events, and the speed and the quality of our internet in Kenya was clearly better than South Africa, which was like unbelievable.
And of course, in terms of pricing and expense of data in South Africa compared to Kenya, we don't,
Much more affordable,
yeah.
It's much more affordable. And of course, the big, elephant in the room, which is Safaricom. This is an organization that has been very, very key, not just through MPesa, which, essentially is our primary, digital payments platform, but also in terms of how they managed to spread their network across the country to some of the most, remote areas so that people can actually get online. Yeah. So as you all know, I think November 2022 was the milestone moment, right? So AI has been around, the Googles and Facebooks have been using it in the ad platforms. They've been using it in the way that, autocomplete when you're doing your stuff on, email and stuff. But the transitional moment between AI and generative AI was, the announcement of ChatGPT in November 2022. And what is remarkable is that it went from 0 to 100 million users in less than 2 months. This has never happened before. Number two, in order to do AI, or rather generative AI, you need to have certain types of processors, which are called GPUs. There's a company called NVIDIA, run by a guy called Jensen Huang, right? And NVIDIA, maybe if you've heard the name before, they do the GPUs that people put in their computers for gaming. But that technology is interesting because it was able to be sort of repurposed to create processors that do what they call massive parallel processing, meaning that it's able to do many things that a normal CPU cannot do. With that technology, it's able to predict the next outcome. So you put in a question, it predicts the outcome. Now, Jensen Huang, who builds these processors, and the company now is one of the biggest in the world. I think at some point it was worth $2.2 to $2.3 trillion because of just how incredible their technology is. Said the generative AI moment, rather AI itself, is going to be bigger than the internet. Now, my entire career has been built on the internet since the earliest days. There's nothing bigger than the internet in my mind, all right? My entire career, and I'm a graybeard now. But the point is, when Jensen tells you that, then you got to ask yourself, okay, so if it's going to be bigger than the internet, what are we doing about it, all right? And of course, you can see the race now. Google's out there with Gemini. There's another one called Claude from a company called Anthropic. So the platforms are sort of proliferate everywhere. But the key challenges to AI are very simple. Number one, is it ethical in the way that it operates? Meaning that many AIs can easily be sort of used for the wrong things. There are also biases. Many AIs are built by people where, in fact, there was a conference recently where somebody said the camera panned to him and the AI was trying to simulate something and it picked him up as a monkey because he was the only African in the room on the panel. So all these little sort of growing pains need to be considered. AI, of course, is incredibly important in digital marketing because today I can tell you anyone who's a social media, a strategist, whatever it is, you're able to create content in a massively faster, easier, better, simpler way than you could in the traditional sense.
With just prompts.
Yes, with just prompts. In fact, there's a whole career now called prompt engineering.
Right.
And prompt engineers, I think even in North America, earning something north of $200,000 because they've mastered the skill set of prompting accurately to create the best outcomes. We're also seeing data scientists, data analysts, in terms that's a career space that's just blowing up because all the AI companies need to hire people who have these skill sets. And in doing so, you'll actually find that even Africa is kind of paying the price because our best data scientists are getting snapped up by the Metas and so forth, who are now going to North America, Europe, and all this. But there is huge career opportunities. But as we look at AI, I think the thing is that probably has most people concerned is the potential for job losses. Okay, I was at a conference last week. It was an insurance conference. It was an AI conference. They showed us an AI that calls you. Okay, this is not chit chat. It calls you and tells you, hey, I want to talk to you about renewing your policy. Can you first of all verify yourself? Not a human. You put a prompt on your phone. I know who you are. The next thing, it's renewing your insurance policy, including taking your M-Pesa payment. There was no human involved in that thing. It works 24/7. It works 24 hours a day. And guess what? If it's an employee, that employee is costing you just a few shillings a day, perhaps.
Yeah.
So there are going to be job losses. But here's the thing. You're not going to lose your job to an AI. You're going to lose your job to a person using AI.
True.
That's the thing. Because AI augments your capability and your performance and your productivity as a human. And new jobs, as I mentioned earlier, are going to emerge because of AI. So just like people who were fighting the tractor when it was first introduced because they thought there were going to be job losses and what's going to happen to their cows that pull the plows, we moved ahead because we realized that actually that increased productivity. And that means as a farmer, you focus on other things. And I think we're kind of that moment where, people are fighting, there's nostalgic, but it's just going to change everything because it doesn't respect the status quo. So
Influencer marketing and personal branding. How do we leverage these things? And is influencer marketing, at a place where it's, I don't even want to say a legit career because it already is, but are we about to hit maybe like an inflection point where influencer marketing becomes, I don't know, bigger than almost traditional marketing? Some of
Yeah. So, I mean, case in point, look at, say, the CEO of Apple, right? He's got like 14 million people on Twitter. Apple itself, I think, has 2.5 million people on Twitter.
Wow.
So what is that saying? The personal brands are bigger than the business brands, right? And what it means is that people are looking for voices. They're looking for, they call key opinion leaders, somebody to guide me, somebody to inform me, somebody to entertain me, somebody to educate me on things in the world.
Yeah.
And that's what influencers in the typical sense are. So they are the people who build an audience on the strength of content that resonates with a specific tribe or audience that sort of finds that content or information valuable in one way or another. And I think, if anything, influencer marketing is going to get bigger because people are very skeptical of brands when they say that this is wonderful, fantastic, and awesome in the conventional sense versus an individual who seems to be authentic and is able to sort of capture the moment in a more refreshing and interesting way. And I think just earlier we were talking to you guys about MKBHD. He's like the biggest tech blogger in the world. I think he's got 50 million plus on YouTube, and he moves markets. When he says a product is bad, the company that created the product sees sales drop. Now that's what they've become. So they become almost this virtual billboard, this personal advisor, this trusted source of information, at least in the ideal sense. And I think it's only going to get bigger. Now, in the corporate spaces, and say you're looking for a job or trying to build an opportunity for yourself as an individual, we're also seeing the emergence of what we're calling the micro influencer, where you may not have, 15 million people, but you have like, 10,000. And because you're publishing stuff, talking about your day job, what you're doing, people also then start to see you as a trusted voice, which in turn sort of cascades into new business or new jobs, whatever it is for you. So I think it's only going to get bigger from a branding perspective.
There's one question, it's off the book, but I really like to know, there's a mismatch in what people are studying in school and what they get in the market. How best can you advise someone who is maybe making that transition, maybe from school and getting into the job market?
It kind of comes back to what I said earlier, right? You go online, search, find the solutions. Because again, even we find that we struggle with that at .savvy, where you're hiring somebody that's brand new to the employment space. They don't know anything from anything. And it's going to take you probably 6 months to a year before they're up to speed around the focus areas. So I think that you have this wonderful thing called Google or YouTube, and you can go online. There's a lot of free content, a lot of insights that you can actually teach yourself and learn stuff from there. And I think it's just about the intent and the interest of that individual to go and find that stuff. And then where there's sort of skill gaps, startups and so forth. I think one of the wonderful that's happening in the country is that, you have places like Moringa School, you have ALX, providing very affordable, training opportunities around the latest tech skills, the latest tech platforms. And if you can't do that, you can go to places like Udemy, Coursera, where you spend a few dollars and you can take an online course and even get a certificate. Google has free training resources. So do Meta. So if you want to become a certified advertiser on Facebook to run campaigns, you just have to become Facebook Blueprint certified. So I think the reality is that the solutions are out there.
Yeah.
I think you just got to go out there, look for them, and actually participate in and sort of earn the skill sets to do so.
I just realized I've been saying it wrong this entire time. I've been saying Coursera now. But thank you so much for all the insight, Moses. It's been amazing having you. Let us know how we can connect with you on socials as well as with your work, where we can find you as well.
Yeah, great. So our company, Savvy, we've been around a long time, over 20 years in the digital marketing space. We service, private and public sector organizations, building websites, social media and stuff. You can go to .savvyafrica.com. So that's DOTSAVVY Africa.com. And of course on social medias, etc. On my side, I have my blog at moseskemibaro.com, where, I've been writing for over 17 years. My podcast, which is really my passion project, and it's called Pure Digital Passion, just had 100 episodes, winning just like
Congrats.
Arsenal.
Yeah,
just winning like Arsenal. And that's just, if you go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, just look for Pure Digital Passion with me, Moses Kemibaro.
Well, it's been a minute since I met someone who loves tech this deep, and of course Arsenal,
Who loves Arsenal
even
this much,
deeper than tech. Thank you so much for creating time to be here with us. We always give people something called Makofi Kaolomide. More like an appreciation for waking up in the morning. It's not easy, and for sharing the golden nuggets, and also for 100 episodes. That's really amazing on your podcast.